Well, actually, I think I got my accent from like Georgia and South Carolina and the Palmetto area, you know. I've been in Texas for like 5 years, and I was born in Florida, and I kind of migrated up through South Carolina and Georgia. Actually, that I had that backwards, but whatever. So I
Did
was
we
there until like 5 years ago.
did we talk about Florida last time you were on my show?
I can't remember.
I don't remember you mentioning Florida. I grew up in Florida a little bit on
Ah,
Pasco County, the Gulf Coast area.
oh,
Where
okay.
where were your hunting grounds?
Near Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, okay. I was down there a few times. I've been down there a few times. It's nice-ish, right?
Yeah, it's nice. I haven't been there since I was a kid, though.
Oh, really? Do you miss Florida at all?
No, not really. It's
No.
so humid. It just messes my hair up. How am I going to be straight, have straight hair,
It's like a
in
disease,
weather
isn't
like
it?
that?
It's
Yes.
like the memories of Florida are like a horrible, horrible ailment that you had as a child. It's finally it's fading a little bit, but you still have scars.
Yeah. And when I was a kid, we lived kind of close to the beach, and I just ran right out into the ocean. I was so ready to go swimming, and I ran into a school of jellyfish, and it
Oh,
was
yeah.
horrific.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh,
I
did you
don't
have to
miss
go to the
that.
hospital or did you get peed on?
They did the same, the pink lotion that you get when you have chicken pox. I just pretty much
Oh,
bathed
okay.
in it.
I never had that experience, but jellyfish really kind of scare me a little bit.
Yeah, they're scary, especially when I mean, I just looked down and I was like, "Oh my gosh," and then I got this weird feeling. I didn't know what was happening to me, but I knew something was not right. Oh, Lord, it was horrible. I don't
What
remember much after that, but
Well, what
it
was
was
it that you
truthful.
felt? What happened? It just
It
froze, like the muscles were spasming, or
It stung and burned, and it was a sensation that as a kid, I had no idea what it's one of those things that hits you so hard and fast, you don't know if it's a feeling or a smell or a taste. You're like, "Oh my god, something's happening," but you're not sure what it is.
yeah, that's
It was
cool. That's
horrible.
that's interesting, isn't it? Because you wanted to come on and talk about short story construction, right?
Yes.
That was the subject at hand, and getting stung by jellyfish, that kind of
Yeah.
works as a short story, doesn't it? Unless there's like long-ranging repercussions. Are you able to go swimming? Can you run into the ocean without worrying about jellyfish now?
Yes, it totally didn't phase me. I love to
Yeah.
swim.
Where in Texas are you? Did you mention
I'm in Houston.
Houston? So you have the water
Yeah, we
right
don't
there
there's
too.
not a lot of places to swim though around here. You don't wanna swim in the Gulf. You don't wanna eat anything that comes from the Gulf. You don't wanna swim in the Gulf.
That's so sad, man. I grew up on the Gulf, and when I was a kid, it was shrimp, like all the time. Shrimp. That's all you could get: shrimp and mussels and scallops straight from the Gulf. And now here you can't eat anything. It's so poisoned.
Mm.
And Houston, yeah, man. The beach used to be a place to go, but the beach did suck. I mean, you walk out like ankle deep for like a mile, and there were
Oh,
sharks,
man.
sharks,
Oh.
and it wasn't deep.
Ooh, that's not good.
So when you, how long have you been writing short fiction?
I started writing when I was 29, so I'm 31 now. I wrote when I was a kid a little bit, but all my stories sucked.
But you
So I just
but
gave
you
up.
specifically want to aim for short fiction though when you write. Is that
Yeah, I can't seem to figure out the dynamic of a full-length novel. I can't seem to keep a story interesting enough for me to even bother with it. After like 90 pages, I'm like, "Oh my god, this is so boring."
I just look at it as like 40 short stories stacked on top of each other with the same character and
That's
setting.
what you've done?
Yeah, that's what I do.
That's cool.
It's kind of write little vignettes until it's 80,000 words or whatever.
I just cannot seem to do it. I mean, I tried to do that with my warlock stories, but I guess Thierry has taken a back burner. I don't know what happened.
Well, how do you construct your warlock stories?
I just usually think about some crap Thierry has gotten himself into. Like, I always picture him as having all these like stories. Like, if you were to meet him at a bar, he'd probably keep you entertained for hours. But when I try to get into the specifics, I'm like, well, it's really not novel worthy, but it is like short story worthy. So I just try to think of like all his little anecdotes that he might tell at a bar, and I just start from there.
What's short story worthy though? And what do you consider novel worthy? Wow, those are two different questions. Let's start with short story worthy. What do you think short story worthy is?
Short story worthy is like a shocking snapshot in time. For me, it is because I want something short, jarring, and something that's going to stick with me for a long time.
How long do you write, like word wise? Do you look for a word count when you do the short fiction, or are you stopping
I
whenever
just
you feel like it?
stop whenever I reach a natural conclusion. I feel like sometimes, I mean, sometimes they're like 5,000 words, sometimes they're really short, like 1,500 words, but it just depends on how much information I have to put into a story.
Yeah. And so you've not written a novel though, right? Have you written a whole novel at
Not
this
yet.
point? Not yet.
Nope. Unfortunately, I want to so badly. I feel like that's when I feel like if I could actually finish a novel I was proud of, I would be like, all right, I've made it. I've arrived.
So what made you write short fiction? Like
um,
at 29 years old, like you just woke up one morning and said, I'm going to start writing short fiction.
Probably no sleep. I was at a real shitty point in my life and I needed something to distract me. I don't know what got me onto it. I think I started reading SCP, which is like the Secure, Contain, Protect horror stories. Uh, and they're written like they're weird. They're like a military document, and if you go to the website and read them, they have stuff blacked out, like a doctor wrote it, or something like that. And they talk
Uh-huh.
about these items that the SCP Foundation seeks to secure, contain, and protect. And I just thought that was a really cool idea. So from there, I went to No Sleep, and then after that, I went to Darcy Coates, and I
Yeah,
was
we
like,
talked
"Oh,
about no sleep last time, didn't
yes."
we? Yeah.
Yeah, and it just like it just shook me. I was like, "Oh my god, these are awesome." And it doesn't take all my time to like finish a novel. Like a 300-page novel will take a couple days for me to read it. I'm a slow reader.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm just a starter. I just start so many novels and I cannot finish them to save my life. I mean, I'll finish something I started in 1996, just pick it up and start reading it again. So starting is not a problem. Just finding the energy to work my way through the whole thing is the problem. Short
Yeah.
fiction though is still the same kind of issue. I have a book. I have what do I have? I have the fantasy and science fiction monthly thing in my bathroom, and it's open to the same novelette. Just have a horrible time finishing stuff, even short fiction.
I'm the same
Where
way.
yeah, but when something's good, it's good, right? It draws you all the way through.
Right. And I feel like maybe the reason we can't finish some short stories that we start is because when we start it, we know probably like 50 out of 100 things we need to know to write that best story. But maybe 6 months down the road, we've inadvertently learned 70 things out of 100 things that we need to know to finish that story. And
Oh,
by the time we
totally.
actually finish it, we've had enough life experience, whatever it may be. Every little thing that happens to us is registered in some shape, form, or fact. Like I think, but
I mean, it's very interesting. I like delving into a subject matter and then seeing what happens. Like
right.
I wrote a story and I wanted to include Einstein. I wanted to write about relativity. So I wanted to see how that could work. And, 10,000 words, let's put that as a limit or something. And it just kept changing, as I was going through it. Do you, when you write your short stories, write from beginning to end and then come back to it? Or do you use snippets, pieces to start yourself back up again?
When I
If
write,
you're looking for a project.
I kind of like just hardcore into it because I have the first part. I always start with the hook, and my hook is usually pretty strong. So I just kind of like go into it, maybe, and like I would work on the first paragraph and then write the second, and then I would probably edit the first paragraph and then edit the second and write the third. I kind of just go in layers until I'm finished. So
Mhm.
at the ends of my story get edited the least. We'll just say that. You can see a lot of typos at the very end of all my short stories. 'Cause I'm like, "Ooh, I got it. I'm
That's
done
hilarious.
now."
That's description for me. I'll be very, very verbose in the very beginning part of the story, and then it just like peters out near the end.
Yeah, 'cause it gets exciting and you wanna tell people about it.
Yeah. Here's my idea, guys. I can't wait to share it with you. And then at the end, it's like, I'm so sick of this fucking idea. I can't wait to write another story. I've already
Amen.
started another story. I've already on another story. I can't wait to continue writing that one and give up on this one completely. Yeah, the same thing. The beginnings are very thick, and the endings are very, very. I don't know. Maybe they're not as shallow, right?
For me, yeah, I know I get rushed sometimes in my excitement to finish because finishing a short story is a rush. Like to me, it's like a high. I'm like, oh my God, I finished something. This is great. Because when every story I finish, I feel like, all right, this could be the last story I ever write. I always feel like the next story I finish is not guaranteed. And that bugs me. Like you would think that after I've written like 60 something stories, probably God only knows how many stories I've written. I've tried to count them and I can't find them all anymore. But you'd think that I would be like, oh, I got this. No, every story is like, will it get finished? Who knows? Flip a coin.
Well, it's interesting. You have like 60 stories that you finished, or 60 stories that you're in the process of finishing.
I have so many stories. I have a whole Scribner
Exactly.
project of stories I haven't even finished, and just one sentence ideas. Like, if I finished all my stories, I probably have 200.
Right. And at the end of the day, your goal is what? To write a novel or to continue to develop your short story craft?
Both.
So, I mean, I wonder. I mean, let's talk about the business side of short fiction.
Like marketing.
Is there one? Is there a business side to short fiction? I don't know. People actually make money with this stuff. Like they can sell the magazines and make money per word or whatever. 6 cents is industry standard, and then you can make less than that or more than that, right? So you can
Mm,
turn your hobby into a business potentially.
I don't
People
know. At
no.
this point, I don't know what my market is. I don't know who my demographic is. I just write for myself a lot and I just put it on my blog. I'm not making anything from my writing. Like sometimes
Right.
I'll like sell a book, but usually I just like order a bunch of copies from Amazon and give them away. Usually I have to see a person like 3 times and try to give them my book like 2 times and just before they leave, I'm like, hey, you forgot
Hey, you
something.
forgot this last time.
Take
I
that
found
book,
this
bro.
shoved in between the cushions of the couch.
Yeah, that has totally happened to me.
That's how it works. That's unfortunately how it works. And we're the pariahs, aren't we? Oh
Yes.
shit. That dude that wouldn't shut up for 80,000 words is coming. Let's move on someplace else.
But I did have a win though because I gave my sister-in-law, well, she's like my stepsister-in-law. I gave her a copy of 13 Wicked Tales of Witches, and my little niece Megan read it. And I told her mom, I was like, that probably is not for children because there's so many F words in that. Like I made myself feel bad. She said my niece loved it, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so wonderful. So next time I see her, I'm gonna tell her about no sleep and see if I can maybe create a horror monster buddy.
Who is your reader? Like who's the person that you finish a story, you're done. I did it. Finally, I get to move on to the next one. Who's that person that you make read it?
I usually read my stories aloud to my mom. She really gets a kick out of them. I don't know. Well, I mean, like she's biased though. She's like, "Oh, that was wonderful." And then I put it on YouTube and it gets like 2 thumbs down. I'm like, forget y'all.
2 thumbs down. People are jerks. Do you get thumbs
Actually,
up though?
I've never actually had a thumbs down for
Oh yeah,
YouTube.
I
That's
haven't
because
either.
nobody listens to my podcast thing.
I had a trolley comment once on
Oh,
one of my podcasts. It was one of the ones that I wasn't like, absolutely 100% the most proud of, but the guest himself was kind of important. So I was like, oh, dude, it sucked. He told me that I should shut up and let the guy talk. I was like, oh, yeah,
oh,
I like talking though. Talking's fun.
yeah. That's messed up. I don't
So
think you're like overbearing or a bad host or anything. I think you're cool because like you interact and everything. So fuck that guy.
I deleted that guy's comment.
I would have deleted his whole ass comment too. This is my show,
Nope.
motherfucker.
No comments. I get good comments, only good comments.
Mhm. No, we don't censor here, but if you have something crappy to say, take it somewhere else.
Exactly. I don't want to hear it. So your mom is who gets to be the one who listens to your stories. Of course she's biased, right? I mean, first readers are
Yeah.
supposed to be. The
But she has
hardest
told me
part.
she doesn't like some of my stories though. She's been like, "Oh, girl, you rushed at the end." I was like, "I did rush," but Not all my stories are great. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, but most
No,
anything I put on my blog, I feel like is okay.
I think it's okay. I have the tendency to go on Reddit and write flash fiction and write very very short 500 word micro stories or whatever.
Oh, nice.
That's the kind of stuff I put on the blog. Like it could go someplace. In fact, I've turned some of those stories into longer pieces, but generally they're kind of fluffy. They're really fun to write. They're really rough drafty, and it kind of takes that edge off. Because I just finished a piece today, like a first draft on something that took like 6 weeks to write. It's like doesn't have that same kind of satisfaction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're rapidly ripping something off and saying, okay, now it's done. I can do something else.
I
Actually,
know
maybe it
a
didn't take me
couple
six
people
weeks.
that can fast draft, and I don't know how they do it. I just can't do it. I feel like I want to change too much stuff in the end. So am I really saving time?
Well, how are you writing? Are you a perfect writer, or are
Act-
you going back in and constantly changing things? Because I'm constantly going back in and changing things because it's wrong. I mean, I've made so many freaking typos that I have to go in and change, and that really impacts the narrative, the story that I'm
Typos
writing.
and stuff, I don't really bother with until I'm like almost ready to publish because I mean, stuff's going to change, but I do worry about like the through lines like at the beginning. And that's why I'm scared of fast draft because I don't want to take out a chunk of 20,000 words or something crazy. Like, this is mainly the problem I have
No,
when when I'm trying to
yeah,
write a novel. And because I feel like every which way I might turn when it comes to the plot is wrong. I feel like it's gonna come back and bite me in the ass. Like, oh, you made a wrong decision here. So I'll stop for like weeks and weeks and think about it, and it annoys me.
no. I was gonna say that's definitely not what I do, but I have a story I'm working on that I have been agonizing over for the longest time, and it just got a brand new beginning. And the through line is changing. You know what I mean? The only thing that's really kind of sticking the same is the action through and these two or three central characters that will change by the end of the story. I mean, my stories just start so differently than how they end.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, I feel like maybe if I take more time to think about the plot and all of that jazz, like it will come out easier with less huge edits. But
I wouldn't
I
say
don't
that.
know.
It becomes worse, right? I mean, you can spend if you give yourself a week. How long do you give yourself?
To finish a short story, or
Yeah,
I don't know. They just get done when they get done. Like sometimes I'll wake up in the morning. I always like to write in the morning. If I don't have to work, I write in the morning. And sometimes I just finish stuff. It's usually like
yeah.
I start a bunch of stuff and then like 6 months later I'll finish a bunch of stuff. I don't know why that is, but
No, you're like you don't ever schedule. You never challenge yourself to a word count or anything like that. You're like, I'll just write whenever I feel like it, and then
nope.
there are finished stories.
I can't because if I try to put myself on this is why I don't query because this is pointless. I would never query anything that was not finished because I already know as soon as somebody says, "Hey, have this done by Tuesday," it's a wrap. I'm done. I guarantee you I won't be able to write another word, and if I do, it won't make
Really?
sense.
Oh wow.
Yes.
I am so good with deadlines. I love them so much. I want more deadlines. I want people throwing deadlines at me left and right. I'm so good with deadlines. I love them.
That's a superpower for real.
Yes. Or like the opposite of a superpower. What is the opposite of a superpower?
I
In
actually never
college,
know.
I would write paper. They would assign the paper. I'd write the paper, and then I'd forget about the paper, and then I'd be editing the paper. I'd be editing the shit out of the paper the day before. So I end up getting like a C anyway because I barely put any time in the paper. But the paper was written for like weeks and weeks and weeks. I never procrastinated. I just never went back and edited the damn thing in time to get a good grade.
I try not to procrastinate, but I am a natural procrastinator. But since I've turned 31, I've gotten better
Old
about not
now.
procrastinating.
You're
Kind
old.
of.
You have to give up the procrastination.
I still
You're
procrastinate. I
mature.
mean, I feel like I've let my author platform kind of slide. I'm not doing social media as much as I was anymore. But I
What
did
were
do
you
a
doing for
YouTube video.
did you? I know. Did I see that? Who did I watch? I watched somebody's YouTube videos. YouTube is dangerous lately. I've been all about YouTube. I cannot stop watching. I've been discovering all types of endless holes to fall into. It's
There's a
dangerous.
bunch of people talking about horror stories. If you didn't write them and read them, you might have an issue. I don't know what that's about, but one of my favorite people on here has been posting about that. And I'm like, oh, please don't stop doing stories. Like, that's my entire morning commute. Like, I just listen to bro all morning. It's unit 522, and he does horror stories. Oh my god, I love his channel so much.
So he's gonna be quitting content.
I don't know if he'll be quitting, but I know they're trying to give him a hard time. I haven't looked him up in a while because I've literally been through his entire playlist.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And he reads his own fiction.
He reads his fiction. He reads other people's fiction from like No Sleep and stuff like that. So
Would
I enjoy listening to him. He's great.
Would you read other people's fiction?
Yeah, I have. I just haven't posted it yet.
Oh,
But
so you would take submissions, read the fiction, and then put it up on your website.
yep, I certainly would. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking about doing a horror story contest, and I was gonna have the award or the gift or whatever. The winner would get like $100 Amazon gift card. I'm saving my
Oh,
little money, and I want to do a T-shirt that says something about my blog. But
well, that's significant contribution to an artist.
yeah,
$100. I mean,
100 bucks.
honestly, that could be anywhere from a word to like, a pretty significant chunk of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and then you're going to read the story and put it on your website. That is a model that a lot of people are doing nowadays.
Yeah. Some people don't want their work read. They just might want the gift card, which I can understand that too, because a lot of people, I mean, they might not like my voice. Hell, I don't like my voice a lot of the time. I wouldn't take offense if they were like, I'll take the gift card, just don't read it.
I think that's a rule. If you're sane, you have to hate your own voice.
Yeah. I feel like it's better than it was when I first started doing YouTube videos, but I'm also so thankful that I have this microphone. It makes me sound like less of a crazy person.
Well, I think also owning it, right? I mean, just kind of accepting you're the person that's making the noise. There's
Right.
nothing that can stop you except for you. And really, all
Yeah.
the doubts that you have are in your head. Because you didn't certainly give me any doubts. You have your own doubts.
True that. True that. So do you use story structure when you write? Do you do the plot points and like try to stay on track?
No.
No, you just kind of wing
No.
it.
I kind of wing it. I mean, I know what I want to do, and I understand. You really want to get things going in a certain direction pretty quickly, right? I mean, it's different in different mediums. Like if I write a screenplay, I know within like a few pages or minutes of action, I want something big to change the direction of the character's life, the inciting incident. In a short story, the inciting incident kind of already happens before the short story starts in most
Right.
cases. I mean, really, the action is everything in the second act. And then the third act is where, it's going to change course again. You really don't even get to see that in a short story because the whole momentum of a short story is kind of working up to that change of pace again. Whatever's happening. It could be small. I mean, it could be really tiny. Two people sit. I mean, my favorite example is two people sitting at a train station. Hemingway's White Hills Like White Elephants, right? They're
Hmm.
just talking, but there's subtext happening. They're talking about getting an abortion, and one person wants it and the other person doesn't. But you as a reader, you're just listening to them kind of drone on about their vacation. But it's
Is
there.
that baby shoes for sale, never worn?
That's Hemingway too, right? I mean, that's
I think
one.
so. I love that. I think that's excellent. Like, I just feel like the power of so few words, it just sticks
Right.
with you harder. For some reason, it does for me. I don't know why.
That's Hemingway. You love Hemingway. I love Hemingway. I really do like Hemingway a lot. Um, yeah. So I mean, like that's structure, right? In a way, and that's something to keep in mind.
Right.
But you're also dealing mainly with character, and character kind of has an energy all on its own. Who's this character and what does he want? Then I don't know. I always give it to Danny DeVito, but I'm sure somebody else said it. Then you put that character in a tree and you make what they want impossible to get, and you watch them struggle.
Right. It's all about goals, man. I mean, you can't start a story without goals.
Yeah, and then you get in the way. I mean, it's also is obstacles, right? I mean,
Right.
here's a gold medal. Run an Olympic level race. There you go. You have a desire, get a gold medal. How are you going to do it? You're going to run really, really fast. How are you going to run really, really fast? And there are steps to take to get to that point, right? And the short story can happen anywhere, but I think a person's life is I mean, it's so connected to so many variables that the short story could have lots of detail in it.
Right.
I
Right.
mean,
And
how much
detail that
detail do you want? Yeah. How much detail do you want in your short stories when you're writing them?
me just enough to like have my reader understand, like I don't know, like I'd rather talk about the effect of something than actually go and do all the backstory about the actual something, like for example, if a character has PTSD, I'd rather just show them having a panic attack or freaking out about something really small and like explain through context clues that, and then the reader either gets the picture or they're like, I mean, it's a hit or a miss, I guess.
Well, yeah. I mean, what do they say? That's the difference between showing and telling. I gotta hate that term. You've
Yeah,
obviously heard it too. Showing versus telling. And showing is, you've got this character with PTSD, and this is what PTSD is and how he interacts the world with it. Telling is he has PTSD and he goes through his day. You don't really show how that impacts anything. It's just
right.
words on a piece of paper.
I think a good example of that is like in this last story I did I narrated on YouTube. It was about helicopter octopi invading Earth. And the
You got to
guy,
be
the main
careful. Helicopter octopi are an incredibly dangerous species. I'm with you.
yes, they are. And they spit black ink. But he was talking about my main character. My main character's name was Shitty Brad. Anyway, he was talking about how when you get horrified, like you get this tingly, weird, like sensation in the tips of your fingers. And the last time I was really scared, I remember feeling that. And it's just like, I don't know. It's one of those things that I don't feel like I've read a lot in horror stories. So I was like, I'm glad I thought of that.
How unpleasant being afraid is. How
Yeah.
unpleasant being fear, filled with fear and possibility of being killed. Yeah, that's a horrible feeling.
It can totally make you lose control of your bodily functions. Like you can't do things as easily. Like, yeah, you can load a gun if you're calm. You can't. It's real hard to load a gun when you're fucking horrified and shaking and sweating.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
thought about that when I was in the military, how they train you to put bullets in weapons, but they don't really train you how to deal with what will happen if you ever do that in combat.
oh
I
yeah,
mean, I've never had have you been in a situation where you've had to, in the heat of the moment, defend yourself? Personal
I've
question.
I've
You don't
come
have to answer.
I've had a situation where actually I wasn't in that much danger, but I knew someone else who was in a lot of danger, and all I had to do was call the law. And I'm telling you what, it was all I could do to dial the number, and my voice was shaking, I was shaking, I was horrified. Like, and
Yeah.
I feel like I'm probably a coward in real life. But I mean, I could if I knew for sure, but I just didn't want to make the situation worse by making a decision. But I feel like in the end, I made the right decision. But boy, I was
And
like horrified.
Neil Armstrong went to the moon scared shitless.
I'm sure.
I mean, you're never going to be as brave as you think you should have been, right? Everybody's
Right.
afraid unless you're a psychopath. God, man, talking about the law, can you imagine every single day on the job you have to get out of your car and put yourself in a spine tingling, horrible situation?
My sister's
Walking,
a police officer, and I feel
would
for her
you?
because I know she's in situations like that all the time.
I don't know what it does to people. I mean, I don't think it does good things. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
think.
got to give you a heavy heart, or at least, if nothing else, a nervous condition. You're like, what is this going to be? I mean, are you just trying to
Yeah,
give somebody a ticket, and it turns out to like be a life changing event.
or life changing. Yeah, man. If you don't pay attention, if you let your attention slip for like 1 second, boom, you'll know.
Even if you're paying attention, people are insane nowadays, man.
It's an age thing, I think, as well. I don't think I'm. I don't think I'm young enough to be able to put myself through that anymore. At
Mm.
18 years old, I was able to do it. I was able to be naive and say, I can do this. I am going to live. I'm going to be a hero or whatever. At 21, I decided that's bullshit. I'm very mortal. I want to live.
Yeah.
I don't want to put myself, I want to drink beer and enjoy life and I want to see things. And I don't really want to catch your dumb bullets. I don't care about your dumb war or I don't really care about your dumb ticket either. And that's all they're doing, right? I mean, they're just stopping somebody that was going a little bit fast and they could
Right.
lose their life or they can worse. I mean, not worse, but they could take somebody's life, which
Yeah,
is staining as well, right? It stays with you forever and ever and ever.
it sure
All for
does.
what? like a couple miles over the speed limit.
Yeah,
Just
it just ain't worth it. But somebody's got to back down, and the question is,
the law
who's
can't
gonna?
back down.
Yeah,
The law has to be stiff every single time, right? I mean,
right.
these are great stories. I mean, these are great conflicts filled stories. I mean, just talking about that cop getting out of the car and walking up to the car in front of it, anything could happen. Any genre you want can happen
Yeah,
right there, right? I mean, God, that's the beginning of a great story. Boom,
and
inciting
I'm
incident
glad you said
already
that
happened.
about genre too, because like horror, I was reading on Twitter earlier today, and they were talking about how romance or erotica or whatever, you can find a little bit of that. You can put that in any genre. I think horror can be found in any genre and blend in really well too, because we all get scared. That's why we're even here. That's why we
Because
got
what do you mean?
lights on. You know,
That what do you mean? What do you mean?
that's why we have electricity, and that's why we
Oh
learn
yeah,
about
because we're
fire, because
scared. Because we want to hold the bad guys at bay, right? Yeah,
hmm
absolutely. We want to broaden that sphere of fire so that the animals stay where they need to stay. Yeah, man, we're filled. The monsters are everywhere, everywhere. We're
hmm
scared of everything,
we are.
everything we do. I mean, I'm down in the basement right now with all the curtains drawn. It's completely dark. That's because outside the monsters are, right? And the
Hmm.
monsters are my neighbors, and they're horrible people that want to look inside my basement and see how disgusting it is. So bad people.
And you never know what the sweetest looking person, that's another thing. You never know. Like the nicest person can be like the worst thing ever. Like I think that's inherently creepy. Like don't trust your
Yeah,
neighbors. Always look under your car before you leave, because there could be somebody hanging under there like Cape Cod style, and you don't want to show up at work with some dude under your car.
you don't. And I mean, honestly, nightmares can manifest themselves in so many different ways, right?
Mm.
Just because it's not a guy with a sledgehammer coming after you with a hockey mask or whatever the hell horror movie you're watching. It could be a little old lady who just wiggles her way underneath your skin, and the next thing you know, you're looking into some kind of future that you really never thought you'd have to look into. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? I mean, it's just like these moments, these horrible, horrible moments that can just catch you, and
Yep.
all of a sudden, it's different. The whole thing is totally different. I was before we got on the Hangouts, I was looking at Bernie Madoff. Just I'm curious. No, Bernanke was in my Twitter, whatever the was, and I thought it was Madoff for a second. So I ended up looking at Madoff and just thinking about the fact that at 70 years old, this guy went from being a billionaire to a felon living in prison, and he's been there for 10 years, and he's
Oh
going to die
Lord.
there. He's going to die in prison, and he knows that. Separated from his family, both of his sons are dead. His wife won't talk to him. I mean, what a nightmare. And he wasn't going to go to jail the day before he got arrested, right? He was going to continue trying to push that envelope until what?
That good old Ponzi scheme and got him messed up.
Yeah, yeah, he was going to push it, right? He was going to keep pushing. It wasn't like he was going to give up. Oh, guys, I'm done tomorrow. I'm not going to get arrested, so I'm going to be a good guy now. He
Mm.
probably still would be Ponziing it up. Man, there are so many Ponzi schemes out in this world right now. I don't even think money's real anymore. We should all have Bitcoin.
Did Bitcoin die? I don't know. I don't know.
I
Is
don't.
that
I don't.
still a thing?
I don't think it died. It's still out there making money. It's not as big as it was. Like it
Uh,
shrunk down quite a bit, but people are making money. Like the dark web that you hear about, the
yeah.
laughable dark web thing, the cliche that's the dark web. You could use Bitcoin on it. That's the only currency you can use.
Uh,
I think one of the things that they really wanted it to be was anonymous, and I just think that's impossible. And other
yeah.
people think that it's an NSA conspiracy actually created by the government so they can actually see transactions that they normally wouldn't be able to see.
Like the new cicada. No, I guess cicada was more like a code for recruitment.
What? Tell me about Cicada.
Cicada was like a bunch of stuff that they put on. It was like codes and clues and stuff. And I guess people were trying to figure out, follow the little breadcrumbs. And if they got to the end of the puzzle, then maybe they were recruited into the CIA or the NSA or who knows, the Illuminati. Hell, I don't know.
Oh,
But
interesting. So basically, it's just a series of tests that if you pass, you end up in an organization.
right, you get new. I mean, that would make a great story. I would totally read a book
Right?
about that stuff.
Is
I
there?
know. I want. I don't know. I now I'm gonna Google it.
Well, I didn't read. I'm on YouTube way too much. I don't even know how I just finished a story. It's like 8,000 words long. So, I mean, it's not like short. It took me a really long time though, because I kept taking breaks to watch YouTube. But one of the one of the videos I watched was about writing, which is, coincidental being that I wasn't writing when I was watching it. And they were talking about how people really want a strong, non-violent hero. So my next story, I'm going to make a non-violent hero. And it sounds like a really good idea, right? Cicada. I mean, that's a great place to put a non-violent hero. Somebody
Yeah.
just trying to do a good job in training or whatever, and then has to face what he's been training for. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to be a warrior or something, you're training to kill people, right? It's going to come to
Mm,
you eventually. One day, you're going to have to pull that trigger.
maybe not. Maybe it could just be a different kind of protection, like keeping people from killing other people, like, just stopping them. Oh, well, not permanently, but.
You still have to be prepared and have the knowledge.
Well, how would your hero be be passive, like, well, not passive, but non-violent? Would he just like be a hacker or something?
Yeah, I mean,
In this
you
day and age.
ultimately, I mean, the argument, if you pay taxes, you're murdering people in a foreign country when we drop bombs on them, right? So, I mean,
Oh Lord, I hadn't heard that one yet.
nobody's hands are clean.
Oh, I know. I know my hands aren't clean. I done hexed 4 people this year already. I'm just kidding.
Is that what's wrong with me? You put a hex on me.
Mm. I try to keep it as witchy as possible at all
So
times.
do you go in for the Wiccan arts and whatnot in your writings and what have you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I try to go beyond Wiccan. Like Wiccan, most people don't have a problem with. I try to get into the whole satanic. Like what is that shit they don't want us to know? Like what's the witchcraft that works? Like, they don't everybody's scared of it. There's so much stigma behind it. I kind of feel like kind of want to put an iron nail through a clove of garlic and see what happens.
Well, maybe this is too personal of a question, but it would seem that you're writing about a cultural thing too, right? In America, in the South specifically, like, like God, what would you call it? I can't even think the name what you would call it because my brain
Everybody's
isn't
scared
working.
of witches and voodoo and
Voodoo, yeah, right. I
they're
mean,
really scared of voodoo.
but
So I
can't
wonder
you
if it works.
dig into your family's history a little bit and kind of see that magic working there, or no?
As far as my family goes, I really, really believe that my aunt has magic, but that's
Your
a
aunt.
personal opinion. Yeah, she came to visit a couple months ago, and we were in the middle of this huge drought, and it was summertime. It was hot as hell, and she came out and sat on the back porch, and I was talking to her, and I stood out there and talked to her for a long time, and I looked, and there was this freaking mushroom just popped up out of nowhere. I'm like, it hasn't rained in 3 weeks. Like, how is there a mushroom all of a sudden? Like, I mean, I had been staring at the lawn talking to her this whole time and there was nothing there. She went inside. 30 minutes later, that mushroom was gone. I was like, oh my God. I mean, I know my mom and my aunt have the gift. Like, I'm not going to say that they're witches 100%, but they have something extra that I probably don't have, but I'd love to write about it and think about it.
You messed up the end of that story. You were supposed to say that she noticed the mushroom popped out of the ground. She said, "Oh, it arrived," plucked it out, put it in her mouth, then got up and walked away.
She was just like, "Oh yeah." I was like, did you know?" She's like, "Oh yeah, it happens." I'm like, "Oh my God, I bet it does."
So, I mean, have you? And that's a great short story too, right? I mean, that's a fantastic short story. It has all the parts that you want.
Well, thank you. That was a true story though. I mean, there is some kind of energy that surrounds my mom and my aunt and my mom's other sister, but my mom's other sister is kind of like she's scared of it. Like she does not want anything to do with it. She's afraid of it, but she still got it. Like she might
Yeah,
not want to mess with it, but she's got it, and it's just something you can feel. Now, me,
but you have to add religion into this, don't you? Like you can't not put Christianity or the Bible or Jesus into these type of stories. They have
mm,
to exist in them.
in a way, sometimes, but like in my Thierry stories, I just kind of ignore Christianity because Thierry doesn't think about it. All he's thinking about is what he can see and what is happening to him. He's not trying to have no existential crisis or nothing. He's just trying to get to point A to point B and then get to some food because that's all he cares about. And stay
His
out of
next
jail.
it's a good. I mean, sustenance is a good motivator.
Yeah.
It's a really good point. It's a really good thing to get people to get up in the morning and do horrible things to their bodies, right?
But I
Sustenance.
if you were to ask me if I thought magic was real, I do think that that there is an ethereal presence that surrounds us, and it's like energy. And I think that we all share it, and that we all interact with it, whether we want to or not. Something breathe life into us, so you can call it God or whatever. There's something that's making everything run. So whatever that is, why can't we make friends with it and just kind of guide it with
I love it. I
willpower?
mean, I really think that that's a really beautiful way to look at the world that we live in, the universe, because we try. I mean, as a writer, you're always trying to write like a magic system or
Right.
do world building or something like that. And I have to say, I'm a very old person, 42 years old, and I look at the world that I live in, and I'm just fucking blown away by how awesome it
Yeah.
is and the potential, right? Because we have already built all we have built these mythologies
Right.
through our ancestry, and why do them a disservice and try to build one of our own? Use it.
Right.
Right?
And that's what
How do
everything
spirits work and stuff?
like I think that our perception of shit and the way that we think shit is a lot of why shit is the way that it is, if that makes any sense. I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg, the perception or something being there to be perceived, but I
It's
do
so
think
interesting.
that we create our own universe slightly, kind of like a game when you are in the game world in GTA and you turn around, the shit is rendering as you look. Just before you look, it's rendering.
Yeah,
So,
and you're not even really catching up.
right,
The thing that I heard recently is that we're like behind a fraction that it takes our brain to catch up to what our eyes are actually seeing. We're not
exactly.
even like
Yeah.
actually witnessing our lives live. Our lives are passing us by.
Mhm.
That's the stupid way to look at it. But if our lives are passing us by like one micro, whatever at a time. And when you die, that's what's going to happen too, right? I mean, time is still going to be passing while you're dead. Just 1 minute's going to stop, and you're not going to be able to catch up anymore, and that'll be the end of it,
Right.
or something.
Well, see, I don't really have cool powers like my mom and my aunts, but um I do have one kind of weird power, and it might just be something that I've grown to get better at over time, but I'm an empath. I can feel if somebody's feeling sad. Sometimes I can infect them with my happiness, but most of the time it's just confusing.
What am I feeling?
I think you're a little tired, but I think you're enjoying our conversation. That's all
You're
I'm getting
correct.
out of you though.
I, you can't do it long distance, huh?
Are you a little tired?
I am a little tired.
What?
I
Go
woke up very
me.
early this morning.
I try to sleep in and I can never make it past 6.
Oh, really? What time did I wake up this morning? It was like 3:30, and it's all natural. Like I just wake up and say, okay, do I want to go back to sleep or do I want to write? So I wake up and write. Finish the dumb story. So been a good day, but I am tired, and this my voice will not come back in full force. So that's sad.
Oh, yeah. But
Um,
I was working for my parents' family business for a while. Back like mid last year, I had been working for them, so I didn't get out a lot, and so I didn't really use my empath power, I guess. It's not like a hardcore power, but like sometimes I'll get a vibe from people, and sometimes it'll like as I've gotten older, it's gotten stronger and stronger. It's like easier for me to feel how they're feeling without even talking to them if I'm near them in person. And
uh-huh.
when I got a job, like a real job, a couple months ago, like I just felt completely overwhelmed and bombarded by all these other people's emotions. And I was like, damn, what is going on? And I finally figured out that I was feeling what they were feeling. I know I sound probably like a crazy person, but that's okay.
I don't know how the world works. I really don't. And if you talk to a biologist, he doesn't know shit about geology. So I mean, nobody knows everything. They really
Right.
don't know how the human I mean, God, I am really interested in consciousness. I'm incredibly interested in what makes the thing me inside of this thing called my body.
Right.
It's incredibly fascinating because you can't pull a finger on it.
And when does it start is my
Where does it
thing. Like,
end? What I
when
mean,
does
yeah,
it start?
exactly. Yeah, I mean, when is it at birth or is it at
Right.
3? I mean, is it in the womb? Are you
Is it
always
something that
there?
comes to you and this is just a shell that you're in, you know?
Slowly evolves through stimulation, right? I mean, it's something, it's so fucking fascinating. And then you try to dig, and you can go to the Wikipedia page, and the Wikipedia page has like a bunch of terms and it breaks them all down for you.
Hmm.
And then it'll point you to some philosophers, and it'll point you to some doctors, and you'll find some near-death experiencers, and you won't get any answers though. I mean, there are
I
some people
feel
that
like
think,
the most likely explanation is that our consciousness transcends dimension after dimension, and that when it comes here, it finds a host, and when we die, it moves to another place. Because I feel like, why would it just go away? Like, nothing is created nor destroyed. So, much like the Higgs boson, I feel like it just pops somewhere else.
it doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? And if you look at the universe, there's always a cause and effect, right?
Right.
If an asteroid slams into something, there's going to be some kind of residual energy happening. I mean, the only thing they really say is going to be a permanent deal is like the heat death of the universe when all the suns die and there's no energy. But that's like, again, a theory. The
I thought
universe
we were
has not died.
expanding.
What?
So I thought our universe was expanding slowly. So we're going
Yeah.
back to the center and we're going to die from heat.
No. Like there's a blue shift and a red shift. And one of them, I'm not sure which one, is going away from us, and the other one is coming towards the Big Bang. And there's a theory that suggests that when the universe expands as much as it possibly can, it will snap and it'll come all back, and there'll be another Big Bang, and it'll all start again. You know, whatever randomness created human beings, maybe randomness will create us again, or not, or this is all bullshit. And the other theory is that the universe will end when the last sun's nuclear spark dies and there's no longer any energy anywhere, and it's just, dark matter or whatever the hell bullshit's out there.
You know, the universe can span, contracting and expanding makes me think a lot of breathing lungs. So maybe that's all we
Right?
are, is a breath of
Man,
something fucking ginormagantuous.
because all we have is the realities of our own existence, right? And our realities are only based on the amount of time that we spend alive.
So
As a
basically, we don't know shit.
Yeah, man, think about it like this. The first second that you're alive, that is the longest fucking second you've ever lived. And then you do 2 seconds, and that first second doesn't look so impressive anymore. By the
Right.
time you get to a year, those seconds have mounted up to the point where you don't care about seconds anymore. You start counting years, and then you die. You know what I mean? But in terms of the universe, how does it count time?
It's all
Because,
about frame of reference.
right?
It
I don't
depends.
know. I mean, whose reference ours last 80 years? What
Right.
happens after that? We don't even know. I mean, I don't know. I would like to think that there's something, right? I'd like to think there's not something wasted here. What is this thing?
Right.
But we don't know. And that's the beautiful thing about it, is at the moment we're going to find out, however much anxiety and bullshit's going to be on top of that.
I'm incredibly nosy to know how everything ends up because I feel like no matter how much I try to figure it out, I'm never going to know. I just hope that when I die, I can know because I feel like Andy Weir's story, The Egg, would
Yeah.
be badass if that was to be true. Have
Or
you read it?
exhausting. Yeah, I've read it. It's like one of my favorite short stories.
Oh, okay, yeah,
One of my
it
favorite
blew
short
my
stories.
mind. I was like, what?
Yeah, he's one of I would love to have him on my podcast too. I've
You
never
what
asked him.
now? You had him on the podcast?
No, I would love to have him on the podcast. I've never asked him though. Maybe
Oh,
one day I'll reach out to him. I hear he's quite friendly, so maybe that's possible. I don't know. But yeah, the egg is amazing, but exhausting, right? I mean, you have to live every single life that ever lived on the planet Earth, which I think at this point is 23 billion lives or something like that. It's a lot of existence, and then you have
yeah,
to
but it
go until
makes
the
sense.
end. Yeah, I mean, you would want your gods experienced,
He
right?
would, if he could remember everything that he went
Yeah.
through. I mean, I'm sure he probably would be able to after he died, it'd come back to him, but
I mean, I like it. I like the idea of being a sentient being that has the experiences that I've experienced, not just this lifetime, but all lifetimes that I've had the option to live through. the
Right.
option to live more lifetimes. And obviously, we're not stuck with humanity either. I mean, the observable universe is small. We don't even know what's out there. I would love the idea of living other life forms as well. I mean, God, or as punishment, you have to be a squirrel. Like all these money hoarders, they have to come back as squirrels and collect nuts every
Damn.
single day and just constantly collect nuts for no reason because they never eat them or remember where they are.
I don't. I also kind of wonder if we don't live in a simulation in a way. Like
But we
maybe
do,
I
don't we?
signed up to be here. Maybe I was on a waiting list to be like, oh, I want to play that game, and I just bought it on Steam. Like I'm doing it in the game.
Yeah, 99-cent discount game,
Oh, that's
and
a
now you're
discount
playing.
code. Yeah, and it's been 5 minutes. Kind of like they did on Rick and Morty.
This
I
game
don't know if they went to
sucks.
Blitz and Chips and that guy. Do you watch Rick and Morty?
Oh yeah, I love it.
I love that episode where he's like, I can't remember the guy's name, but basically you put on the VR headset and you live as that dude for like 60 years. You try to like beat cancer and keep your marriage, and
Oh, yeah.
you just mow the lawn one day and have a heart attack.
I hate him because he's so good. All of these concepts that he comes up with, they're just really awesome science fiction concepts. I
Yeah.
mean, you're a speculative fiction author, and you do you write science fiction also or fantasy, or just dabble in the horror genre?
I've written a couple of science fiction stories, but I feel like science fiction and horror go well together. There's a lot of unknowns in both of them. So I love to read science fiction, but I'm not crazy about space operas. I like creepy science fiction.
Creepy like aliens
Just like I can't
or
even think.
Lolita in space.
Darcy Coates wrote something about of space, and I read like half the book before something happened. And I can't even remember the name of it, but that was pretty good. They were like all out in space, and some kind of monster was trying to get them. That was pretty good.
I have a hard time with space operas. I
Me
like
too.
real stuff, right? I like reading about stuff that could potentially be the future.
Right.
Big spaceships in space don't really appeal to me either. I'd like to. I mean, people like that stuff. Again, that's that non-violent hero that I was talking about earlier. Kind of get somebody with a good heart on a big ship. People will love it and just keep reading it and reading it and reading it.
The only thing I written that's kind of even like that was about something in a very far future, and they were trying to go from one planet to another in this like huge cruiser spacecraft or whatever, and instead of like protecting themselves with turret guns and like laser beams and stuff, they employed a warlock to make sure that the spacecraft was charmed and to ward off these huge like titans kind of in space. That
I love it.
was pretty cool, but I don't think I could do a
I
whole
want shit
novel out of
blended
it.
together, right? Don't you want your stuff blended together?
Kind
You
of, yes.
want kind of don't want straight fantasy. You don't want straight science fiction. You want to be like, whoa, I didn't expect that. That's awesome.
Right. That is awesome.
Not Andy Weir. Who are we talking about? Nicholas Ames wrote Kings of the Wild. Did you read that? It's a straight fantasy book, kind of in a way.
No, I haven't read it.
The thing that he did that people really liked was kind of modeled his characters or the story after like a 1970s rock and roll band getting back together again.
Oh, cool.
So his theme all the way through was that, but it was straight fantasy. I mean, you can blend things nowadays. People
Right.
want things a little bit more complicated. I don't know. Where are we at in terms of short fiction in this
Sure.
conversation?
Mm,
Like we were supposed to be talking about short fiction. Have we done
I think we went off on a whole different road.
that? So what would you say this show was about?
Uh, strange horror author prattles about random stuff.
Prattles. I
I
love
don't
that
even
word,
know.
prattles.
I don't
I'm
even
trying
know.
to I'm trying to figure out when we started.
It's been almost an hour.
Almost 12:41. Okay, 12:41. Doesn't make any sense, does it? It's
I have
insanity.
no idea. This whole day has been a blur for me.
She didn't work though, did you?
No, I didn't have to go to work. I've been off.
54 minutes ago we started. Cool. I like talking to you. You are gifted with the gab.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I like talking to you too.
Yeah, you said that last time. I appreciate it because if nobody liked talking to me, it'd be hard to fill an hour's worth of a podcast.
You're easy to talk to, and I think you have a very open mind, which I find refreshing.
I want to learn stuff, right? I just want to know. I want to experience. I don't know. What would you say that makes me, a young soul or an old soul? I just want
Mm,
to I don't want to close my mind to stuff, but
I don't know. To me, I don't think it's either. I just think you're open minded. I just think you're like, I wouldn't say new age because to me that kind of makes me think of millennials. Sorry, millennials, I'm one of you, but you guys annoy me sometimes. But
no,
other than that,
a new age reminds me of like 1980s, like the baby boomers.
oh, we need a new word. Millennials is not a good word.
You don't like millennials? I'm
I
not in the
mean,
millennial group.
put it in tones
Do what?
because of like what it represents nowadays. Like I just think of vaping when I see the word millennial. I think of vaping, beanies, coffee shop, the
God, I only
mellow
think of wars.
mushroom.
I only think of
I'm
wars.
so stereotyping people right now.
I only think of the fact that most of you guys came back from two freaking wars that the government couldn't stop sending you to, and then they didn't give you any jobs, and then they made you live with your parents,
Yes.
and
Damn, my
they
mom in the kitchen right now. What you talking about?
your mom's in the kitchen right now. You said
Yeah. Yes, I totally live with my parents.
you're in the kitchen with your mom at the moment.
Oh no, I'm in my
Oh
room, but I'm just saying, like, yes, I totally live with my parents. I'm okay with that.
no, you're not. It's
I'm
damn
not.
fortunate.
Yeah, I need counseling.
You're not okay with that. Nobody would be okay with that, and it sucks because that's the generate. That's what's happened, right? I
Yes.
mean, if you, I don't know how, honestly, I don't know how people have cars or houses or jobs. I don't know what the fuck is making this economy work.
It's
Facebook makes no sense to me.
who knows?
I mean, Facebook is worth $1 trillion freaking dollars. Why? Because you put some information in there? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, the only reason is they're trying to figure out how to get us to come back. Come back, guys. Pay attention to us and our advertisements. No, no. We've got the lies and the stories right here. Stop making up your own narratives. We're going to get you. It's scary. Your
Yeah.
generation is like cord cutting. They're done. I mean,
We're
where's your
gonna leave
generation at?
all our jobs to robots and automation and
Do you remember? I don't even know if they still do this thing. Like you're logging into a website and it asks you to select your age, right? And you can go anywhere from whatever 10 to 99 or something like that. And most people just go ahead and slide the thing all the way up to 99 and go
what?
onto the website. What do you mean? What
I
you would
didn't
never?
know. I always put my right age.
You already put your right
Yeah.
age.
It didn't even occur to me that I could lie for stuff like that. I went and got my nails done a couple weeks ago, and I took my friend with me, and he was a dude. So, of course, it was like his first time going. He was like, I don't know about this. He was like, I don't want to put my name in the book. I said, just put John Constantine and go on about your business. He did. And I put my pen name and freaking, I did the telephone number from the song.
5 5. What is it? Oh, the one in New York.
It's
What
like
is it?
873-509-687-3509, something like that. I don't even remember what it was.
There's an actual person out there with that number too.
Oh, I'm sure they've changed it by now. It's like a famous song that I can't remember the name to right now.
So you brought your friend to get things done to his nails.
Yeah, because we like work in manufacturing and like everything, like our hands are completely tore up by the
Oh,
end of the
really?
week. So,
That's horrible. I just imagine your cuticles is like bleeding.
oh man, you have no idea.
Ugh,
My cuticles are like man cuticles.
ugh. Well, yeah. Ugh. That's horrible. What do you guys manufacture? Oh, don't tell me. You don't have to tell me because if you tell me, then I'll know where you work, and that's not good. Manufacturing. I couldn't even imagine it. So there's actual manufacturing jobs in this country.
It's kind of like more like a warehouse.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I like it. I like working hard. I like moving around. I cannot be like doing nothing boring all day. I would die. Like if I'm
But
not moving around, I'm gonna try to go home. That's
would
me.
you want to be a writer professionally? Because you move around as a writer, don't you? You have to experience things.
I feel like I thought I would have more story ideas once I got out and got around people again because it's been like 4 years since I've like actually had a life and been out of the house like normal. But I don't. I think I'm still like taking it all in. And then something will hit me after a while that I see that's just random.
Where were you at before 4 years ago?
For like 4 years, I came to Houston and kind of helped my parents with their businesses. So I worked for them, and I have a weird living situation, so it's been weird, basically. Mm, but now I'm just glad. So like, I'm so happy to go to work most days.
Get out of the house.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, short fiction, but we talked about you a lot.
Oh, sorry. All your listeners are gonna pass out and go to sleep now.
Well, I mean, I'm curious. I'm curious about you. I can cut out all this,
Oh,
who you
good.
are
That's
and
great.
what you've done with your life.
Yes,
Did
cut out all the embarrassing stuff, please.
yeah, you're
Mm.
I mean, what do you hope to do with the writing at the end of the day? Like,
I just want to be able to like be like at some point, maybe when I'm 60 and be like, I've written 500 badass short stories and just publish them all in a bunch of volumes and maybe people will love them one day. I probably won't be famous until after I'm dead or ever, but hey, I'm just gonna try to do the best I can and write for my own pleasure because I feel like if I'm writing for someone else, except for in very special situations, it just doesn't come out good.
when you're writing for somebody else, you said?
Yeah, it doesn't come out that great. Like if I were to write something and trying to impress somebody or as I don't know, like ironically as an answer to something that they wrote, I just can't do it. I have to just come up with something organically and write about it because I want to write about it. If I start thinking about other people, I get messed up somehow.
So you won't do writing prompts or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I will, but like if I'm like trying to write to like if I were trying to write to impress an agent, it would come out like shit.
Yeah, I think that'd be difficult to impress those people. They're
Yeah.
they're very unimpressible. I mean,
They've seen it all.
do you impress yourself is the main question, right?
Sometimes, like a lot of times I'll write something really simple and like campy, like nobody else would probably be impressed. And I'm like, hey, I can't believe I did that. I'm pretty happy with it. That's all you can do though, that's all you can do is just try to please yourself.
What was the last book that you read that kind of did that to you? Gave you that tingle?
I haven't read a full book.
Ooh, almost spilled a whole glass of water all over my computer.
Oh
Almost
my
said almost said goodbye in a physical way.
god.
Anyway, I'm sorry. What was the last story you read that made you feel like that? Tingly.
um, that I was really impressed with.
Yeah.
Something that I read that I was super impressed with that I enjoyed the whole way through was Sean Stone's character Eddie Lancaster, and I think his the first book is Warlock for Hire. That shit was off the chain. Okay, I laughed the whole way through. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was reading, and I just bust out laughing. I have to get up and like literally laugh. Like this is hilarious. That book made me probably smoke a pack of cigarettes because I was like so stressed out trying to read it. But it was a great book. It was funny. It was entertaining. The story was excellent. Like I cannot talk about that character and that author enough. It's
You
really
know,
good. And it was about a warlock. So
you know what I find? What's it called again?
Warlock for Hire.
Warlock for Hire. I'll look it
Hmm.
up. For hire. I mean, can you imagine? What is it? An indie?
I think I'm not sure. I'm
J.P.
not sure.
Sloan. Is that who it is? No, it's not who that is. Yeah, it is. Sean Sloan.
Sean Stone.
Stone. I can't read.
Yeah.
I don't know how words work. The
He's
letters.
awesome, man. I like all his books. I haven't I think he's come out with a fifth book and I'm like have to catch up for the fourth and fifth one, but I'll get to it. But I enjoyed all of them.
There's how many? There's 4 or 5 of them.
4 or 5 of them, yeah.
It's really a shame that you have to ruin your whole body to have a sexy voice. You know what I mean?
Why? Because I smoke. Can you tell I smoke cigarettes?
You admitted it just a minute ago. You smoked a whole pack of
Oh
cigarettes.
yeah. Yeah, I told my mom, I was like, well, at least my voice sounds a little bit better because I smoke cigarettes.
And not just a little better, like amazingly better. And it's really sad. It's
Do you
really sad.
smoke?
I used to smoke.
Oh,
I used to smoke.
I definitely am a cigarette girl.
What do you
Camel
smoke?
filters all the way. I'm a card carrying smoker though. Like, I will like stand out in the snow and blizzard and smoke a cigarette.
And smoke exactly because you have to stand out in a blizzard to smoke a cigarette. You
If I
can't be
have to, I
inside,
will. If it's raining, I'll get under an awning or something. Like I'm gonna
especially
make
in
this work.
Texas. Do you have a lot of, um, I don't know, male attention from your uploading your videos and whatnot, reading your stories?
No, nope. I think they're a little worried I'm gonna hex them or something. So, rightly so.
So
But
would you hex them?
probably if I could get a hold of their hair. I'm just kidding. But yeah, yeah, nobody on YouTube hits on me or nothing. Nobody on Twitter hits on me. Like, I don't have any problems with that. I think I give off a vibe.
Is there a vibe? I think just people are being polite, right? Or is
Or they
there?
think I'm a dude. They think I'm a dude.
Or you're not though.
No.
Okay.
I'm not. I'm not a dude.
So I mean, you don't want that though either, right? I mean, is there a certain sense of sexuality to the kind of the writer profile that you're developing? What'd you call it? Writer profile?
Like, kind of like author. I'm not sure.
Platform.
Author
Author platform.
platform. Yeah. Mostly I would rather somebody read the first line of my story or read the blurb and be like, damn, that seems kind of interesting. And then like binge read it. And then as an afterthought, be like, I wonder who wrote this. And oh, who's that? Who's Avrin Kelly? What's his name? I mean, what's he doing? And okay, it's not a dude. Or I mean, I'd rather they look me up as an afterthought because I'm not gonna like press that I'm a woman or that I'm a person of color or none of that because I don't think any of that shit is important. I just want them to read my stories and enjoy them. I mean, and
But
if they don't, that's fine too.
but isn't nowadays like the best time to be a woman of color writing speculative fiction, getting her voice out there?
Right, but I just feel like I mean, that's not how I identify. I identify with what I write about more than I identify with what race I am or what my gender is or any of that. I feel like none of that, me personally, I feel like none of that has anything to do with what I'm writing about. Now, if I
No,
was
I mean
writing,
psychologically, it's not true, right? I mean, in terms of psychology, you're all over the place in your fiction. I mean, your fingerprints, your gender, your ethnicity, your whatever have you is all over every single word that you put in the computer and publish on your blog.
is it though? Because most of my characters are white males, like between 20 and 35.
Vanilla. I mean, honestly, you could pick up a different. I mean, it's like a name, right? Jack. My character's name is Jack. Why is it Jack? Because I needed to put something there, and it didn't rhyme with, Patricia. You don't want.
That's a great reason.
I mean, he's white, so he gives a shit. You can make him black too, right? Or you can make him
Right.
Mexican, or you can make him whatever the hell you want. He's a stick figure that you're pushing through your story. And the minute that you decide that he has a past, then he becomes something better, right? I wrote a
Right.
whole novel, and maybe I'm not allowed to do this. I wrote about a child warrior from Nigeria, that came to this country. There are so many different people of so many different ethnicities that it's like, screw it, I'm going to write about them because I'm a writer.
Right. But at
So,
the same time, I feel like that's not a good way to build a character by
but no, no.
coloring them
What
first
about your
and then giving them goals.
Oh, exactly. I mean, you want to make them fit your story, right? Because the characters always come. I mean, this is going back to short fiction. You want to make the character fit what you're trying to accomplish. Because at the end of the day, you don't have a lot of time. You need to get it done. You need to learn what you need to learn from that story, like we were talking about earlier, and go on to the next topic of interest. So
Right.
how is the character going to serve you the best? He needs to be Nigerian. He needs to be a child soldier. He needs to kill people. He needs to feel bad about himself often. You know what I mean? He must be willing to do bad things because he's already done bad things.
Right.
All those are answered. I mean, I have a white guy. None of that works, right? I don't know how to make that work in that scenario. Not necessarily, unless he's a Navy SEAL that spent 20 years in Afghanistan or some shit. Can you
Wow,
believe
you
it?
came up with that quick.
Can almost be 20 years in Afghanistan. There could be a Navy SEAL out there who never left Afghanistan for
Right.
18 years. It's crazy. But yeah, so you don't want people to know about you and
It's
be kind of enamored.
not really. I don't like post selfies on social media. I'd rather people concentrate on what I'm saying, or even better, be horrified by something I've said.
It's
Laugh or
very.
be scared. That's all I want from people.
Who are your favorite authors? Well, I guess you just mentioned this guy, and I don't know who the hell he is. Stone.
Sean Stone, yeah, he's
Yeah.
definitely one of my favorite authors. I like J.P. Sloan. A lot of my favorite authors write stuff about warlocks because I love to read about male witches. For some reason, I have like a fixation about. I'm like caught up with witches like hardcore for some reason. I think it's cool because I think they're really close to being us, like, but at the same time, like, they have a little bit more power than we do. Like, they have a few more possibilities in what makes a witch, you know? Like, who's to say we're not all witches? We just don't think we are, you know?
I like the idea of witches. I like the idea of warlocks too. I like
The
because I mean
idea
you're
that you can mix together a bunch of random shit and make something crazy happen.
But you can, right? It's called chemistry. We know that stuff
Alchemy.
actually exists.
Yeah,
And humans have been doing weird things like that forever. A lot of these recipes are old school,
right.
St.
Mhm.
John's wort or whatever. I mean, I like it. I mean, it's fun. How much do you delve into the actual, I don't know, like magic, chemistry of it all? It's like
I'm a
J.K. Rowling, she had it all broken down, right? She had all the spell components and the noises or whatever. And how close do you get to that stuff?
in my stories, I don't well, I do talk about spellcraft a lot, but um a lot of times I think that you can create your own spells on the fly as long as every item has a purpose and some significant uh reason for, being in there. Like, it has I mean, and maybe something in it could help you, it's hard for me to explain. But as long as you feel like it's supposed to be there and you feel like it will work, I think it might work. But I do think that what if we do live in a simulation and the creator decided to put cheat codes in here for, like, like a control alt delete kind of, and then type in your command or the tilde key and type in your command. Like, isn't that a spell in a way when you think about it? Like,
Yeah. I mean, you're influencing the outcome with something artificial, right?
it's just taking a shortcut.
Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating. I like it a lot. I mean, I don't really write. I've written about very few witches, very few. There's a publication right now that I think is looking for witch stories,
Oh, really?
minion stories, actually. I don't know
Hmm.
if I can find that. I'll send you a link to it.
Oh, yes, definitely. I might have something I could use. It seems like every time I'm trying to enter a contest or something like that, I'll find a story that I've written that's close, but there's something that I've done in the story that they don't want or whatever. It's hard for me to find anything to enter.
So you don't really
I don't ever submit anything.